Welcome to the Brothers in Influence podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value in the areas of life, leadership, and community. I'm your host, Ian Williams.
And I'm Sherrod Ledet.
And I'm Shante Price, and together we are the Brothers.
And we are privileged to bring you a special guest who's going to bring the influence. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Brothers in Influence podcast. You know me, if you've been rocking with us. My name is Ian Williams. You may know of me as your purpose coach. And I have with me man of the hour, man on fire, graduate from Eastern Kentucky University and the University of Louisville with a master's degree in organizational development and leadership. Pledging to Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, he is described by many as a master leader with a love for people, leaning into love to guide the conversation. He's a true believer in return on people over return on investment. A leader looking to find new ways to lead others into tomorrow while finding purpose in their life. Ladies and gentlemen, Desmond Pritchard.
I appreciate that, man. You made me feel special. I feel extra special today.
Hey, man, you should. You should feel special, bro.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited. This is fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us for season 3 of the Brothers in Influence podcast. You know, we really made it our mission this year to reach out to other purpose-driven leaders, man, and difference makers, whether you're doing the do or you're aspiring. We want to make sure we use this platform to spread the positive influence. And you are, I knew from as soon as we met that you are among those that would overqualify as a master leader, leading the conversation with love. So,
I appreciate that, man.
Brother. I know you're pretty well known in your own right, but let's. I like to start out with something a little exclusive. Why don't you give us a little, tell us a little something we wouldn't know about you?
Let's see. Something offhand that's just odd is, I guess my dad was the heavyweight champion of the world at one point in time. My dad was a heavyweight boxer.
What?
He held the IBF and the WBC heavyweight championship at one point in time. Yeah.
Wow. Yo, when I ask the question, you just never know what people are going to come up with. This man's father
That's
was
something
the
odd.
champion of the world, bro.
So I have a definite love and affinity for boxing.
Okay.
It holds a kind of a special place in my heart, and I kind of see life as like a boxing match or a dance, if you would say, like counters, moves, maneuvers, left step, right step, jab, feint, fakes, all encompassing. And it's a marathon, just like a boxing match. It's a long. Sometimes it gets dredgy. Sometimes you'll get beat on, but you got to get up. You gotta just remain focused no matter what hits you in the face. And I think Mike Tyson said it. Everybody's got a game plan until they get punched in the face. And it's how do we react to that? How do we see those 3 or 4 steps behind that, right? And so I kind of try to look at life and the way in which I take my next step, and even the way in which I lead is something of the sort.
Interesting. Wow, I love the philosophy. Definitely, I'm not the biggest boxing fan, but like anyone, I know the greats, and I'm a big fan of like the Rocky and Creed movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We got a rich history here in Louisville, man. We got a pretty rich history here in Louisville.
Yeah, I can't say that my dad was heavyweight champion of the world at any given time. However, he did grow up in the same neighborhood as the greatest, Muhammad Ali.
There you go.
Yeah, so my dad was famous for singing. That's what he was known for. And
if I could sing
around the city of Louisville and whatnot. And he used to tell me as a kid, like, how Cassius at the time was in the neighborhood. He was a little younger than my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would tell us certain things, like they would say about what Cassius did with his father and putting up signs or something to the effect. And my dad said, I remember watching them take those signs around the city. Anyway, we ended up coming out of one of his favorite soul food restaurants when I was a kid, and guess who strolled up? None other than Muhammad Ali himself. He immediately recognized my father, gave him a hug, and I was like, well, I can't dispute the stories now.
Can't dispute what he said. This is facts. These are facts.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, man. So that's amazing. I love that the analogy, the boxing, the striving. You broke it down pretty good too, man. So I ain't gonna belabor that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as a master leader, what would you say keeps you up at night?
Ooh, you asked me this question before, man, and it always, I think it evolves in a sense, right? Once you find that one thing that kind of keeps you up at night, you kind of like, what's the next step to that? The biggest thing that keeps you up at night right now is purpose, right? What is I feel like I know my purpose, but really walking in that purpose. How do I continue to walk in my purpose and elevate others while shining a light just on everything I see, whether that's myself, people, the people I serve, the people they serve, however that looks. It's how can I use my platform to elevate someone else's, and how can I, really tie my purpose into that. And that's what always keeps me up. Just finding new ways to help, finding new ways to really just be better. It always keeps me up.
Yeah, I can see that, bro. I can say that at times I've felt like I've been on a similar journey, and it's almost like the more complicated you try to make it, the more elusive it becomes.
Oh yeah.
And a mentor of mine kind of summed it up for me in a way that I've been able to carry with me for a long time now. It's just simply look for opportunities to add value.
I like that.
And whatever that means, and the most significant thing about it is that's unique to each individual, because it's unique to who you are and what you bring to the table.
Love that.
So how Desmond shows up at his best and adds value is different than how I show up at my best and I add value. Because we're all unique, right?
Oh yeah.
So in any given space, you have the ability to be a difference maker the most by just being you.
Bringing your most authentic self in all aspects of the day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. And that's something, leading. That's something, kind of building on the point of leaning into love, like, and leading with love. Like, you create that space for people to be their most authentic self, to be comfortable within the skin that they're in and within the skin that they maybe want to walk into, right? And you create that space for them to not only do that, but flourish in that moment. Whether that's, hey, I want to be the new CEO of this company, or hey, I just want to be the best burger flipper at McDonald's. Whatever that looks like, you create that space for them to be happy, healthy, and be authentic about who they are, and unapologetic about that. And I think that is something that we're seeing now with people. They want to be authentic, but they don't know how to be unapologetic about being authentic. Like, they can come in to work and be the happy person, or the 100% authentic person and authentic version of themselves, and then once they get in there, they feel bad about it, or they feel that they have maybe stolen the spotlight from someone else or dim someone else's light, when that's not the case. The case is they're being them, and creating that space where they both can live equally and simultaneously, safely, and to the max of their capacities, and pushing for a better tomorrow. And you can't do that without loving someone. When I talk about love, I don't talk about obviously romantic love or nothing, but very much like, I love you for what you bring, for your value, for because everyone has a purpose. Everyone serves a purpose. Everyone who does something is doing something for someone else. And that's in service, whether you think about it that way or not. If you come to work, you're coming to work to not just help yourself, but to help those that love you, depend on you, and everything else, and help the people that work with you. So, in a sense, you have to love them or love something about that process, that whatever that is, you have to love it. And leaning into that love allows you to really gain a common ground and really love people for where they're at and what they're doing and where they're going. And it takes the meaning of love out of a traditional way of thinking about it, and just loving people for, hey, thank you for getting up today and coming in, kicking butt at work. I love you for that. Thank you for making my day 2% easier, so now I can go kicking with my son a little more. I love you for that, because that affects you, right? So I take 30 minutes out of your day to give back to you, and you get to hang out with your wife and kids. Like, you're gonna value that. That's a 30-minute win. I love you for that. Thank you. I appreciate you. And that's all that is. And finding ways to add, like you said, add that value, add that love, create that space to be happy, unapologetically happy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Could have been long-winded, but
now, man, you out here lighting it up, brother. Come on now. So we don't want to downplay it. You said a mouthful there, but ultimately, I think what you're speaking to is the evolution of leadership, right? So let me ask you this. And so we want to be affirming. We want to be empowering. We want to communicate how valuable people are to us. How do we do that at a high level without coming across disingenuous?
I would say putting action behind those words, right? A big thing, and I'll speak out of experience. I come to work happy, bubbly every day. Like, there's no reason to be upset. I have a wonderful job. It pays me well. I get to help people who help people every day. I get to find new ways to learn every day. What's not to be happy? I get to work around wonderful people such as yourself every day. What's not to love? So I'm gonna be happy about that. But sometimes, as you said, it seems disingenuous. So it's putting action behind that, right? Hey, I'm not just saying I'm happy. This is the actions to show you I'm happy. And sometimes, again, being unapologetically yourself, like knowing that some people aren't going to meet you where you're at, but you got to go meet them where they're at. But it doesn't mean you have to temper being happy. You just meet them where they're at. If that's like, instead of giving them a high five, just say, hey, you doing okay today? If you need me, I'm here. And then just know, once you extend that olive branch, have action behind that. Right? Open the door, allow them to walk through that door, and let them know that once they walk through that door, you're going to be there with open arms, ready to help and support however that is. And I think the more you do that, the more people will just genuinely see that you're being genuine. You're a genuine person, and just kind of goes forward.
Yeah, man. That's powerful what you just said. Here's what I pull out from it. You got to lead people from where they are. Okay? So even if you come in, you're strong on the positive tip. Not everybody's as naturally strong as you. And so you might have to meet them where they are. And that may mean not necessarily stifling yourself, but being able to extend empathy and compassion to a person who is just not wired the same way you are. And so I think, in terms of the work the similar line of work that we're in, and the student of personalities that we are, you and I are somewhat on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So our response to pressure, for example, would be different. Where if you were under pressure, you may or may not look for your folks to rally, what I'm saying, to come together and talk through. Whereas me, on the other hand, I might naturally withdraw to go inward before I come out with whatever I think is the best way to handle the situation. And so just by having that simple understanding creates a lot of opportunity for connection, opportunity for communication of value from both directions. Because if I recognize that in me, in my tendency to withdraw, it might be best, circumstances might dictate, it might be better for me to come out of my shell and get with the group to game plan, as opposed to, going into the bunker and trying to put together the war plan.
and to your point, to your point of how do you show people, it's understanding and working on yourself every day, right? Having that self-awareness that, hey, I have to understand that this person isn't here, or this person is not me. This person does not drink the Kool-Aid the way I do, or does not subscribe to the same magazine that I subscribe to. And love looks differently to everybody, right? Yeah. That happiness looks differently to everybody. My happiness is I'm skipping up and down the road, clicking my heels, like having a good old time. But other people's happiness is literally just reading a book, quiet, in the most quiet place in the room. That to me is not happy, but to them that is very happy.
Oh, right.
So again, meeting them where they are and marrying that, right? However that is, meeting somebody in the middle.
Yeah, everybody communicates. Are we communicating at each other, or are we connecting? There's a major difference there. There's a major difference. Yeah. So on your journey to becoming a master leader, what was the fork in the road? What happened to be the pivotal moment in your life that led you to where you are now?
That's a good question. I was working at a job. I won't say where I was working, but I was working at a job, and it just sucked. It just was so bad, and I couldn't understand why. Like, it just was bad. Nobody stayed. Nobody was happy. There were like verbal fights between people, and the culture was just toxic. It was just very, I don't like using the word toxic. It was just heavy. The culture was very heavy. Just walking in, just heavy. And one day somebody told me, if you want to change something, you can change it. You just have to change it. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, how do little old me, Desmond, just this random guy, just change something? And they told me, they said, you have a special gift of bringing people together. And I was like, oh, okay, like whatever that means. He was like, no, you have a good communication gift, and people like to listen to you, and you're good at bringing people together. And so I just started talking to people, and I just started communicating with people, just really meeting people where they were, asking them questions like, hey, what's going on? Come to the short of the long, I was asked to run this said department and then run the leadership team. Things started to change. To put it in a nutshell, we were losing about $185,000 a year when I was leaving. When I ended up transitioning and leaving out, we were profitable about $3.6 million a year. And that was in about a 2-year span. So complete 180. And the biggest thing that I asked when I was leaving was what was your all's takeaway? Like, how can I help you? And how can I still set you up for success? Because that was my fear. Like, I'm going to leave and it's just going to plummet. Like, it's just going to drop. And it was like, man, we really appreciate you. Everybody talks. Like, it's not really heavy anymore. It's not really quote unquote toxic. It's not a bad place to work. People enjoyed coming to work. Heck, we were playing cornhole in the back during lunch times, or we would, have little spiffs and prizes going on. But it was all about, it was centered around just getting people to break down their walls and talk and really lean into one another, because we all have the same goal, and that's just to be the best. I don't think anyone wakes up saying, I'm just going to be an awful human today. Or if they do, it's very few and far between. Very few and far between. Like, but no one comes up like that. But I think that was the fork in the road. And once I seen that I could do that. I ended up going to school to get my master's in leadership and organizational development, and I fell in love with people even more. I fell in love with the process of understanding that people learn differently, and then we have COVID that happened, and you have to learn a completely new paradigm of how people learn and how people are coached through a screen instead of face to face. So I love the paradigm there, and it's just, I don't know. So I got bit by the bug. Now I'm sick with it. So
that's awesome, brother. That's awesome, man. You kind of, I don't want to say stumbled into it, but your gifts made room for you.
Yes, I hope they did, and I'm just now trying to make room for my gift, right? Like, move aside so I can help others.
And I think you are, bro. I think you're doing it.
I appreciate that.
So what has been the greatest challenge for you on this journey?
The same thing that's my biggest help is my emotion. I'm such a being disc high, right? Like my eyes through the roof. So I'm so emotional, and I'm so emotionally driven that sometimes that emotion can even cloud judgment, right? And because I know, like, hey, we can do this, like, rah, 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 let's go. And then I might forget we needed to have these things in a row to ensure that that's done, right? And so sometimes I'll put the cart before the horse. So it's really leaning in to, hey, I try to enjoy my success and try to enjoy the happy, but understand that there's a process behind that happy that has to be knocked out and to enjoy it. And so it's really kind of tempering that, and sometimes just scaling back. And as hard as it is for me, shutting up and just sitting in it and kind of going through the process. And so I would say that's the hardest thing, tempering my emotion. For sure.
I mean, being self-aware goes a long way, bro. It goes a long way. Yeah, and so that's the thing about it too, is as a leader, you work with other people that compliment you where you may seemingly fall short, not necessarily fall short, but it's just not your area of strength. You shine where you shine, and you hopefully align yourself with others who shine in different areas, and so in that way we balance each other out. And so we all need more light from Master Leader Desmond Pritchard.
And I think we need light from you as well, brother. Like, listen here, you put. I mean, nobody has it all together, and I think some people, when they see leaders lead, they're like, "Oh, this person's doing great. Like, they don't need anything." And no, that's not the case at all. Your best leaders need great leaders. They need leaders just as good, if not better, right? Or they might not have leaders who lead the same way or as effectively, but there might be a piece of their life that is they're very good at, that others might not see it.
Yeah, and that's a part. It's one of the things I love about leadership is it's a journey, and part of my commitment to myself as a leader is to be a lifelong learner. And so, with being open to continued education in whatever form, higher or self or otherwise, you can learn from anything, any source, especially when you take the time to reflect on your experiences. And so I learned from you and the many other leaders that we happen to be blessed to be able to rub shoulders with. I appreciate you, brother. Favorite quote? Do you have a favorite quote?
Do I have a favorite quote? No, I don't have
probably something you wrote in your journal, because I know you be.
I do write a lot. I do. I have something I say. Questions are the keys to answers. Answers are the keys to success. Success is the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to everything else.
Questions are the keys to answers. Answers are the keys to success. What is it again?
Success is the key to happiness.
Success.
Happiness is the key to everything else.
Okay.
But it all starts with a question.
Go ahead.
It all starts with a question. And we were talking about it today. I will ask you 100 weird one-off questions that mean absolutely nothing to somebody else, but they might mean something to me. And sometimes that question is just to see if I can gain common ground. Sometimes if it's to put you in an uncomfortable or weird, like thrown off position to see how you react to something different, right? Sometimes when we're caught off balance, we get some people's authentic answers, or you see how their responses are. Do they have like an immediate defense response or an immediate offense response? Like what does that look like? And sometimes you'll just find out where you sit with people. But I said this to a guy I was talking to yesterday. It's actually one of my fraternity brothers, and I was like, you never know what you'll get unless you ask somebody for something. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, I went into a coffee shop the other day and I asked for a coffee. He said, hey, can I get a coffee for free, please? And he was like, sure. I was like, I don't really want it for free, man. I'm fine. Like, I appreciate it. I just wanted to see if you were going to give it to me. But he was willing. And something just so small as like a small cup of coffee wasn't going to inconvenience his day. And maybe he was like, hey, he's having a bad day, or he might not have something, but he went out of his way to do something nice, right? Or something that he didn't have to do. So you never would have got that free cup of coffee had I not asked, even though I paid for it. But you just never know. You never know until you ask. And then, but I think there's a little difference in asking and asking with intent and purpose. Right? Don't just ask empty questions because people are going to feel that, right? But so if I ask you, say you've been having a bad day, like, how are you today? And sitting there looking in your face, looking in your eyes, sit in front of you, nothing in front of me, and just say, how are you doing today? And just sit there. You're going to feel that. You'll feel that. You'll feel my intent to really know. And if you say, oh, I'm doing good. Well, what does good look like for you today? How can we make good better? Now I'm asking you another question. And so what am I getting at? I'm just trying to figure out what's going to make you happy or how I can make your day a little better. And once we put that into kind of action, we find out what's behind that. And hey, it might be you lost your puppy. A friend of mine might have found a puppy. We never know. But we never know until we ask a question. So, that's a quote I like. My grandfather has the best saying in the world, though, and it's ABC. Always be careful. You said that. Yeah. So my grandfather had you had the whole alphabet, and my grandfather has a saying for everything. It's like ABC. Always be careful. DEF. Don't ever forget. Just so on and so forth.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he has it all the way down the line, all the way to Z.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy.
All right, brother. Well, as we look to wrap up tonight, man, I just want to ask you, how can the people get in touch with Master Leader Desmond Pritchard?
You can follow me on, I guess, social media. Instagram is, I don't even know my Instagram. Hold on, I'll tell you my Instagram. I don't even give it out too often because it's just future_Dr_Des DEZ. Yeah, that's the best way to reach out to me. You can always find me at 2020 Strategic Consultants. I'm always trying to post something there, jump in our blog, or be out in the community. Find me out in the street, just hanging out, having a good time, helping people wherever I can, and just trying to be cool like you, man. Cool as the other side of the pillow.
Oh man, we big up each other around here. So, but today it's all about you, brother. So I
Listen,
appreciate you joining us for the Brothers of Influence podcast.
I appreciate you for having me.
Encourage, inspire, and add value in the areas of life, leadership, and community. Master Leader Desmond Pritchard definitely added value tonight. I hope you got some value out of the time you spent with us, and we'll be catching you soon. Look my man up on Instagram at future_doctor_Des. Right?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you more than anything, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.